Facebook.
That would be Facebook over here. That would be YouTube. So my recommendation for you are, I really hope you take this
Not my
to
words.
heart.
Not my words. Okay. I don't want. I don't want to hear my one. I don't want to. I just hear you out. Okay.
Hold on. Oh, got the screen on here. Let me see here real quick. Oh God, this screen is horrific. Oh God. All right, no glasses. Oh. Okay, well, I don't know when I'm gonna see you again, but if okay, the first thing I think is most important is how you're going to proceed on as a role model for your kids. Because now you've already created karma. You have played God. When two parents have kids, both of you guys are gods. You have created a living human being. In this particular case, there's three. One, two, three. And now you all have a duty and responsibility to raise them happy, healthy kids and to provide leadership so that they have a good direction to go. We already know kids growing up with a single parent home gonna have a lot of issues growing up. Everybody wants to be loved and everybody wants to love. So it will affect the way how they love and how the way they're going to be loved. So the first thing is the y'all need to study how to be parents. There, you know that word ignorance that me and you talked about circles back to us first and foremost. We can't really blame the other parent for being ignorant. We have to first look at where ignorance lies within us. So that's my first main concern is always for the children. And right now I'm working a lot of divorce cases where the children are in the crossfire. Matter of fact, tonight at 8 o'clock, I was supposed to meet with this woman and her three children to interview the three children to ask them about how this divorce is affecting you. And who do you feel safe with, mom or dad? Who is provide? I was supposed to ask all these questions, formulate a report, send it to the lawyer, and let the lawyer figure out what's the best course of decision. Because right now it's the blame game. It's this game right here. He said, she said. Um, Second thing is self care. So after you get, hopefully all the numbers will come in, which is how much child support is going to be, and hopefully you readjust um, how much you're going to be making and how much goes to child support and how much is going to go to self care, taking care of yourself. But the problem with Asian men is we don't know how to take care of ourselves. We're a very weird species. And we think we can manage it on our own, of which I call it the lawyer in your head. The lawyer that's in your head. So, over the past couple of years where you told me you just worked, what's happening is that you just use the exterior to mask the pain. The depression is that it's a pain. And how do you run away from that pain? By continuing to work. That's why most Americans do it. They literally work themselves to death. My uncle was a detective in the city. He is got a reputation for taking all of the overtime hours from every other cop. Nobody could get overtime because he would take all their overtimes. I have reason to believe the fact that he worked so much that it affected his marriage, and now 2 kids don't have parents that are intact. And after 40 years as a cop, he is still working. After retirement, he is still working at the courthouse. He's still wearing the same gun belt. We spoke about low back pain earlier, right? This man wore this gun belt for now going on 45 years. Working. For what? For what? So self-care is very important. On the subject of science, there's a lot of things that we still don't know about the mind, and there's a lot of things we still don't know about the human body. And that's why people don't take their own self-care seriously. Now, part of self-care is your spiritual life. Spiritual life. And that means, what is a Buddhist? Why am I Buddhist? What is a Buddhist? And you got to ask yourself that, because it's people like me that looks at people like you, and you are our hope as supporters in Buddhism. And besides the supporter thing, you have to ask yourself, I'm Buddhist. What does it mean to be Buddhist? And if I want my children to be Buddhist, how do I transmit information to my kids for them to understand the Four Noble Truths? How will my kids grow up to be ethical and moral children that they will never touch a gun, they will never touch drugs, they will never do the things that these American kids are doing out here that I've seen, that you've seen? You turn on the news and you've seen all these things. How do you ensure? You have this responsibility to ensure your kids not becoming. You get what I'm saying? I go overseas and they ask me, how do you teach? What is your standpoint? And I tell them, my main concern right now is safety. And the Buddha gave us the threefold training. You see, the Buddha made it very easy for all of us to practice. And the first thing he said was Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Sila is the gift of safety. That means the 5 precepts. Don't kill, don't steal, don't lie. Sexual misconduct, number 4. Number 5, intoxicating substances. If a human does not keep those 5 precepts, we don't have a safe family, and we don't have a safe community, and we don't have a safe society. That's what we're seeing now. That's what's happening in the US. If you keep Sila, it opens the door for meditation. And if you open the door for meditation, then subsequently wisdom will arise, which is what you told me.
Repeat anything?
Huh?
Repeat that again.
Keep the precept. It will open the door for you to meditate, right? Because once you have safety, then you can finally sit and focus on the breath to see the 3 marks of existence, the impermanence, the change, and the control. And wisdom will arise. So you have to do that for you before you can do that for your kids. You have to meditate first before you can tell your kids to meditate. You got to have wisdom first as the Buddha that you are before your kids can learn all of these things from you. They're depending on you are sitting on a very high chair as the father that you are, the big responsibility that you have. If you want to love again, so you got some of these things going on, right? So you got the child support thing, learning to be a parent, learning to be a Buddhist, learning to be a Buddhist father. On top of self-care, which is to eat right, exercise, keep yourself alive long enough to watch these kids grow up. Keep yourself alive to watch them graduate high school and college. Don't neglect your spiritual path, which is what you did for the past 5 years. um, and readjust the middle way. That's it. And strive to be an arahant. On the spiritual path, strive to be an. You see that guy over there? That guy sitting on that right there? That would be Lung Po Man. Right underneath the white flowers. You see that? That's Lung Po Man. Hold on. Just stay here for a second. Let me show everybody and show you why I dragged this guy here. Everybody probably smiling why I dragged this doll from Thailand here, but this is Lang Po Man. And underneath Lang Po Man was an arahant. He was a saint. He meditated for so long and so hard that he became a saint. And after that, he cultivated about more than 30 other saints underneath him, Ajahn Chah, who we all learn from, Ajahn Lee. And why did I drag this doll back so I can stare at him all the time? So that I remind myself that becoming a saint is a possibility. And if you become like this guy, you'll never come back in this lifetime ever again. You will no longer experience mental pain and physical pain if you become an arahant. That's what this guy means to me. And those two other statues there, one of them is the Buddha inside the baggage, and the other one is Lang Po Sot, another arahant. So there's a lot of things to reflect on. Good to think about. Don't be intellectually lazy. I have a lot of faith in you, or else I wouldn't sit here and spend time with you, especially me coming off of a very strong antibiotic. No, I really wanted to die. The type of I swear. And I went to the urgent care again, and they told me the type of antibiotic that they put you on kills every bacteria from your neck all the way down to your stomach. So it makes me having to have diarrhea. And I've had diarrhea. I couldn't tell you how many times I had diarrhea. I couldn't tell you how many times I had to eat raw. The whole world's been waiting to hear from me live because they're just wondering, like, is he okay? We saw him in the ER in Vietnam. We haven't seen him for like 4 days. I like to think that I only spend time with smart students, intelligent students, and I hold you in a very high level of respect because we went to school together. And you were the first one to come see me. You were the first one to come see me. And not only you came and you paid your respect to me. You know how humbling that is? The fact that you knew me before I was a monk, how I was before I was a monk. And you came and you paid your respect because of the robes that I'm wearing. Makes you stand out one out of like 300 million people. That makes you one in 300 million that lives here in the United States. That's the entire population of the United States, 300 million. That's you. That's who I'm talking to right across this screen right here. That's you. You're that guy. I need you to be that guy. I need you to be that guy for these kids. And since you make a lot of money, I need you to put that money, not in my pocket, because I already refused it earlier. I need you to put that money in the poorest temples in Laos. The abbot in Laos asked me, do you want this window in your name? I said, sure. I said, how much? He said, $250. I was there. They're still building. I took videos of it still building. So what in essence here is that we're creating a new world. And it starts with one window at a time. One tile on the floor at a time. That's what's happening right now in Southeast Asia. That's what I like to see where your money's going. Because once you pass away and my students are around and I'm still around, and I'm going to say, you see that gentleman right there? I went to school with that guy. And though he passed away, you know what he did before he passed away? First of all, he came and he saw me. He paid respect to me. And he expressed how much respect he had for monks, the wisdom of monks. Then he turned around and he helped us create a new world, starting with one temple at a time. He created a place where his children can come and sit and meditate. He created a place where they come to read and understand and learn about Buddhism. So for all the things that you all think that he did wrong, I'm here to tell you what he did right. And these are the things that he did right. That's what makes me happy. I could care less about a $5 million check from anybody. I could care less. I could care less. I went to Southeast Asia and slept on the floor and ate with these monks because I wanted to just live in poverty. I found happiness in poverty. But for the greedy world out there, the greedy world, that all they know is to think about themselves and their family, myself and my family, my money, my retirement, my this, my. Every time when you look at the word me, my, and I, it will always bring back suffering. Always bring back suffering. But when you do for other people, I'm telling you, it will change. The last teaching I'll give you before I let you go is reflect on suffering and the law of cause and effect. You are Buddhist. What is law of cause and effect? Is that you are suffering now as a direct result of what you did to other people in your last life. So there's a highly chance you did this to somebody in your last life, and now you're paying for it.
Talking about karma.
Oh yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's no different than my karma. Whatever I did in my past life, I'm also paying for it. Well, I just got off antibiotic. That's physical pain in the body. That means I caused pain to another human in my last life, so therefore I'm paying for it now. So in Southeast Asia, that's what they do, is that they make a lot of merits. They give more and they take less in hope that they would lessen the karmic effects in this lifetime, in hope for a better, favorable rebirth in the next lifetime. And that's something we should not take lightly as Buddhists. Should not take lightly. But that's all I have for you. I don't think I have any more. That's a lot of information. And if you forget, you just go back to my YouTube or my Facebook and just hear it again and again and again. But you know how happy I was to realize that you were coming to see me? The first person to come see me after I've traveled for so long was you. And the joy that you brought to me days before you even texted me, for me to reflect on the memory of you coming and seeking wisdom right out there, out in that lake. You should have done that more. You should have came. You should have came more often. I couldn't tell you how rare and precious my time is nowadays to sit here with one-on-one with anyone. The fact that I have to write a book, I'm overseas, they're asking me to teach English and teach meditation. So I just wanted to water the seed and watch you grow to be the father and the man that I know that you can be, and not to focus on the money anymore or just find the middle way of it. The Buddha taught us to be wealthy. He wants you to be wealthy, but he also doesn't want you to be so wealthy that you forgot who you are and forget your age. As you're coming to see the monk, you forgot how old you were. What would the Buddha want you to do? That's a question you should ask yourself often as you leave here today. And you drive home and you drive back. What was I meant to do? What was I meant to be? What was I meant to do all along? What was my purpose? What is my purpose? So all of us kind of grew up here in America, such as myself, someone who worked 3 jobs myself. And I just dropped out of the race. Eventually, I dropped out. I had the same ambition like all of us, financial freedom and blah, 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 blah. And I just dropped out because it's a system that you cannot win. So I went after the spiritual life because true happiness lies within, not on the outside. It's just not. So I hope that you just reflect on my recommendations for you. Um, and start keeping a journal, because I think your kids will really appreciate it that you left a book behind. And in that journal would detail when you woke up, how you carry on about your day, how you think of your children, what you learn new, in Buddhism, whether or not you meditated, how many times you reached out to a monk, what the monk told you to do, what you didn't do in a week. I think that's going to be very important to leave a legacy. And I think you have a lot to live for. 3 kids is a lot to live for. 1 kid is a lot to live for. But now you have 3 that's going to watch every move you make. So if you live life right, you wouldn't be afraid to keep a journal. Say your life is over. Say you wasted your life. Say you wasted your life in marriage. Say you wasted your life in love. You wasted your life. Just pretend like you did. You're still young. You didn't waste. But convince yourself that you've wasted your life. So now who are you going to live for? And any wise father would say, fine, I've had my fun. I've had my fun, then I had these kids. Now I'm going to live for them. And that is a heroic father. Is a man who knew the limitations of his desire, the limitations of his pleasure, and then just made a 360-degree turn to say that, well, I'm going to live for them, and I'm going to do it the right way, so my kids don't wind up just like any other kid out there, to ensure their safety, to ensure their happiness, and to ensure that they become the best Buddhist kids the world has ever seen. And that's going to be the challenge here, is to cultivate your kids to be the best Buddhist kids the world has ever seen. Like, they're so Buddhist, you raise them to be so Buddhist that other families are like, I'm sorry, how do you raise your kids? Can you teach me how to raise my kids like that? You want your neighbors to be asking that question at school meetings and all that. So I'm going to deactivate this, and then whatever questions you have, I'll answer them.